My name is Larry Balanwa. I work with Action on Disability within ethnic communities as the Community Development Officer. The network basically, like I said, has a function of bringing members together. One, to facilitate professional development in the various fields, providing more and efficient service to more efficient service to the communities, basically to the African communities, and then, well, of course, also encouraging members to share information to support the various organizations and agencies that they work for. There is nothing new about issues with regards to mainstream service providers serving the ethnic communities or new and emerging communities. The very first one is cultural responsiveness. You need to have an in-depth knowledge of the community to be able to serve them efficiently. So that's one of the gaps. You need to know what the cultural values are, what the norms are within those societies. You will need to also know what the challenges they face to be able to actually address whatever the challenges are. So without all this, it's very difficult to actually serve the communities efficiently. There is a general trend within various services and departments, government departments, making efforts in the right direction to actually retraining staff to be more responsive in the services. And there are lots of training opportunities there, professional development, addressing cultural responsiveness. The other one is, well, which will come with time, is actually absorbing people from these communities into the workforce, so that they, of course, would facilitate provision of efficient services to their communities. Because, of course, someone from a community has a more understanding of his community in terms of their ways of life, in terms of their actually outlook, and then, of course, their disposition to access to services. There is need for more education on both sides, on the part of communities to have a better understanding of the mainstream services, how they function, so that they can effectively use them. The resources are there. The only problem is how to match resources with needs, and the needs are huge as well. So how do you then make this to happen? So there must be a way to facilitate that process. So on the side of the mainstream providers, they must understand how to get to reach out to the new and emerging communities too, to be able to help them in whatever ways.
Look, my name is David. I work for a local government, but I worked a lot in the welfare sector before that. I think service providers really, they are doing all that the best that they can, but one of the things that I really see still is lacking is that the majority of the programs which they talk about are actually designed somewhere. There is no input from the African communities or Africans themselves, where they could have that choice of, we wanted this model of service. Instead of services being planned somewhere around, you don't know whether really they can work or not. So I think this may be some of the reasons that some of the services are not able to meet the needs of the Africans. I think the other thing also that service providers could have looked at is to make sure that also they include Africans in the system. Recruitment is really very important. If they can attract African land people to the workforce to work in the welfare service, I think they can really give very good input, and they can contribute a lot in reforming the services which are meant for the people. Africans, sometimes we are very shy. We don't want to come forward to show that we have got a problem. We keep quiet whenever we have got a problem. My encouragement is that don't stay at home or don't wait for something. If you have any issue, come out. There will be someone there who will help. This is what I can advise our Africans. For service providers, yes, please work with the community. Get the input from the community. Know from the community what their needs are. This way, your programs can really make a difference.
My name is James, and I'm a board member of the African Learning and Leadership and Advocacy Group.
Yes.
One of the things that I thought is not being properly addressed or could be changed,
yes,
is the fact that a lot of the service providers actually do. We haven't had that chance to work with all Africans. We have been treated as pockets. So for example, there will be a program for Sudanese, or there will be a program for, let's say, Somalis.
Yes.
But I haven't come across a service provider that actually tries to treat us as a community, like together. That gives us chances or opportunities to interact among ourselves,
yes,
and then also opportunities to interact with the wider community. A lot of us actually come here, and then we actually live in our own pocket. If I came from Sudan, the only people that I would associate with would be Sudanese only. If I came from Somalia, I would be living and hang out with Somali people, people only. But I thought I would like to see a little bit more interaction, a little bit more interconnections within African communities and also the wider Australian community. I think that would be excellent. Being an African, we are a little bit not more upfront. We're not used to saying things outright. We have not been brought up to speak up. And I think if we could speak it up a little bit more, if we could allow that learning space where we can also be a source of knowledge, we can like a two-way two-way conversation, service providers and us. And I would say, this is how I thought would be good. And then the service provider will say, oh yeah, that's good, and they will take that and incorporate into the plans and projects. I think that will work very excellent.
My name is Ali, and I work with Big Sec, and I work with the Youth Justice and helping out young African boys who've been involved with the Youth Justice, and we help them and make sure they don't reoffend again. So we help them with areas of employment. Basically what we do is intensive case management. Service providers are doing their best to meet the needs of the community, but there's always that gap of people falling between the cracks, yes, of the system. And it is, the other thing is most of the communities, they don't know what services are out there and how they can. So it's our job as community workers to get out there to the community and make sure they know what services and resources are available to them. The community has to come and meet. There's a lot of community offices and organizations in mostly every suburb, and the communities have to go out there to the community, to their local community centers and get information, and they will be directed to the local service providers who can provide a tailored help to their needs. I hope that our African community settles in this country like all the other communities who came here before us. Like the media has lately been focusing a lot of negative stuff about the Africans. I hope the media, the Australian media, becomes honest with the way they report issues about the Africans, because we just because of a few people who commit crimes, you shouldn't tarnish the whole community's reputation.